Welcome to KRA's The Hub, the official podcast of KRA Corporation. And now get ready to hear workforce topics and trends you need to know on the go.
Well, welcome back to KRA's The Hub podcast. I'm excited for today because really today's episode is a part of a series that we recently recorded at the 2024 NAWDP Youth Symposium. It was actually the 25th Youth Symposium put on by NAWDP. And I just want to start off today's episode by thanking the NAWDP staff for putting on another great event. This year's symposium brought a gathering, a collection of individuals in workforce development from around the country. And I think this year was one of the largest attended symposiums throughout the 25-year period. So it was a great event full of energy, a lot of great ideas that were shared both in the general sessions as well as many of the workshops. And as we've been able to do here at KRA over the last year is not only have conversations with influencers within workforce development leaders, but also attend some of the larger national conferences and also have conversations with folks there. And at this conference, I had an opportunity to sit down with several wonderful guests. Some of them were presenters at the conference. Others were leaders in workforce and also some exhibitors that were there displaying some really great technology. And so as you sit back and listen to these episodes in this series, I hope that you would glean from the energy, the ideas, the best practices that were shared at this conference. And as always, our goal is to make it relevant. And really this conference, again, was focused on youth services. So many of our conversations were focused on youth services and workforce development, strategies, technologies that are being employed currently, but also what's to come. As things are ever evolving within workforce development, the industry that we're in, how do we stay at the forefront of that? So again, I want to thank you for joining us here on KRA's The Hub, our podcast, and enjoy the episodes that we have here from our recent participation at the NAWDP Youth Symposium in Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you.
All right. Well, this is Jonathan Overall with KRA's The Hub podcast, and I am here. Today is day number 2 at the NAWDP Youth Symposium here for 2024, and I'm joined by Kimberly Meadows. She is the training director with NAWDP, the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals, and she's actually one of the organizers putting on this event. It's been a wonderful time so far, and today is day 2. Kimberly, welcome to the Hub.
Oh, thank you for having me, Jonathan. I am so excited to be here.
Yeah, and thank you for all the work that's gone on behind the scenes here. As I said earlier, what appears to be a seamless event, but I know you have the behind-the-scenes look at what happens, but it's been a great conference, symposium so far, and welcome.
Thank you. So, we're excited to be here and this is actually our 25th Youth Symposium, so, it's kind of a big milestone year for us, and this is actually our biggest event. We had about 950 in-person attendees, and then we had another 40 or so that are virtual attendees. So, just excited to have almost 1,000 workforce professionals in the same space. So that's really exciting. So that's how, we're celebrating our 25th year at the Youth Symposium.
That's great. I know after COVID, it seemed like it was going to take some time for conferences to get back, but they're back. I know all the annual NAWDP conference and the youth symposiums, they've been growing every year. So it's great to see that enthusiasm.
Yeah, absolutely. Our past annual conference that was held in May in San Antonio was our largest annual conference ever. We had about a little over 1,800 people. So I really think that workforce development community people are really excited about being together, being with their people, with their workforce development community. And so we do see our numbers continue to rise. And I think people are able to make, not only network, but make relationships and partnerships and collaborations that they can do in person. So that's really exciting.
That's great. Now, Kimberly, your role is National Training Director. But I know you didn't start there,
I
and
did not.
everybody has a career journey getting into
Yes.
workforce, and then once you're in workforce, developing that career to where you are
Mm-hmm.
today. But give us a little bit of background of how you got to this point, and then a little
Oh.
bit about your role now as you're the training director.
Sure, absolutely. How far do you want me to go back? Do you want me to go back to where I started in workforce, how I ended up in workforce? Because that's a very interesting story, and it's always in the forefront of my mind anytime I'm, within the workforce development community. But actually, my first job out of college, I lost my first job out of college. I had a full-time job and a part-time job, and I was laid off from both of those jobs within 2 weeks of each other. So I remember, my first connection with the workforce system was I was actually somebody going in to apply for unemployment. I had lost my full-time job, lost my part-time job. I had a 1-year-old daughter at the time, and I just remember, just kind of that uncertainty of what's next, what's going to happen. And so, I went through that entire process of applying for unemployment, finding another job. So I always keep that in the forefront of what I do. So I worked at a workforce board in Georgia. I am from Georgia. I worked at a workforce board in Georgia for about 15 years. But that's how I think I built my empathy with people who were job seekers or kind of in that in-between space, because I remember how it felt to sit on the other side of the table. So that's how I started in workforce. My undergraduate degree was actually in information technology.
Wow.
And so I was one of those people who just kind of, found my passion just by going through the experience of having to lose my job and be a job seeker. So I found my passion. So now, 20 years later, I am still in the field. I am still excited about it. I've been with NAWDP now for about 2.5 years. I serve as their training director. So that means, I do a lot of the professional development. I don't necessarily do all of the trainings. A lot of times we bring in subject matter experts. I do some of the training for NAWDP. We also do 30 minutes of excellence sessions every month. We do 3 conferences a year, and I'm sure we'll get to that later, so I won't go into too much detail now. But yeah, so my role is to really provide that professional development to really support workforce development professionals. So I always keep in the back of my mind, I always say that, we want to build a community of learners and not knowers, and not necessarily get to the place where, you know what, I know it, and now, I can move on with life and, check it off the list. And that's never the case. Like, we always have the opportunity to learn. We always have to think outside of the box. So really just bringing together those promising practices, what people are doing, building those partnerships. That's one of the things I love about being in a conference environment. It's because I may know one area or one organization that's doing something, and I know somebody that I can introduce them to. So if we're at a conference, I'm going to make that warm handoff. I'm going to be like, you know what, there's somebody I need you to meet because they're doing what you're doing, and I'll make that connection. So I think that's always really good to do in person. So yeah, that's a little bit about my role at NAWDP.
Awesome. Yeah, well, you do a lot, and I know putting on an event like this, it really is a collection and a gathering of so much, from the workshops, the general sessions, the exhibitors that are speaking to technology and providing resources within this space. So it's really great. But the training piece, that's huge, because the conferences are great. We get motivated. We're inspired. We meet other people. We network. But the training throughout the year really helps to undergird really the professional development, the growth that I believe is so important in this industry. And it's great for professionals that are part of the workforce development industry that might have their certification as a workforce development professional. So now you mentioned some of the previous events, and I know I've attended one.
Yes.
You had the Business Services Academy.
You were our closing keynote.
That's right. Had a great opportunity there.
You didn't attend. You were our closing keynote.
That's
so
right.
Thank you for doing that for us.
Yeah,
An amazing job.
Great. And that was a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
Great opportunity in business services. So tell us about that area of what you do, and even some of the things that you have upcoming in 2025. I know.
I'm so excited. Okay, so I'll start. One of the things that we did at the end of last year was we did a survey of our NAWDP members on what their learning goals were. So we sent out a survey, and it was an open-ended survey. We didn't give them like a list of things to check off of what you want to learn. And we really asked people, what is it that you want to learn? And we kind of came up with our top 10 learning goals we did it in 2023, so it was for the year of 2024. One of those top learning goals was using AI, because that is now, that's, front and center in a lot of spaces, including workforce. So one of the things that we did over the summer was we did a 4-part summer, we call it a summer learning series. It spanned 4 months, but it was on that specific topic because that was our top learning goal. So one of the things we really want to do is make sure we're listening to what our members want, and not necessarily me thinking I know what they want, but really using the data and asking the questions of what do you want to see as far as learning. So with that being said, so we had our top 10 learning goals, so that has really got us through 2024 and some of the things that we'll do in 2025. So glad you mentioned one of the things that we have upcoming at the end of February, and you and I had this conversation at the Business Services Academy, but we'll have a career coaching academy coming up. It will be a virtual academy. And we really want to give career coaches some specific guidelines, some strategies, because that is a very important job. That's what I did for 15 years, so that's my passion. But, we really have the opportunity to impact the person who's sitting on the other side of the desk from you. So really being able to give the career coaches, just empowering them with like strategies, what's working, what does the data say, how do we really help move our clients or customers from where they're at now to where they want to be in the most efficient way. So we're excited about an 8-part or 8-hour virtual academy. We'll open registration in early January, so you'll be able to see what the curriculum is. You'll be able to meet our trainer for that particular event. So we do have that coming up in 2025. We'll do another summer learning series. That's going to be more focused around management. So we have a lot for people who are new to the workforce, and we have a leadership academy. So we also want to focus on those middle managers who are supervising teams. So how do you, help your team work better together? How do you, have good onboarding practices? Because we see a lot of turnover in workforce, right? So some of that can, if we can get some good training for our supervisors and our managers on how to really gel those teams together. So we'll be doing that over the summer for our summer learning series. We are really excited about our Leadership Academy. We have that coming up. We've partnered with the University of Georgia, who will provide a 1-year cohort. They'll facilitate a 1-year cohort. It will begin at our annual conference, so we'll have an in-person session there. There will be 4 virtual sessions in between, and then the last in-person session will be in our conference in 2026. So this is our first cohort on that. We're super excited about it. We have 25 participants who will be in that cohort, but we plan to offer this at least once next year, 2026, if not twice. So we really also want to develop our leaders. So as we're, learning regulations and laws and all these, other things that are specific to workforce, we also want to make sure that the leaders of organizations are also getting training on how to be effective leaders and move their organizations forward. So we have that going on. We have what we call our 30 minutes of excellence sessions. We do those every month on the 4th Wednesday of every month. You don't have to be a NAWDP member. You can just be in workforce. You don't have to be in workforce. You could just be curious about workforce. And we have different topics. We bring different people in to just talk about different topics within workforce development. And that can span anything from, working with people with disabilities to maybe even working with English language learners. We have a topic coming up in February on partnering with HBCUs. We have one coming up in March on skills-based hiring. So just a broad topics of workforce topics that we have with our 30 Minutes of Excellence. The great news about those is they're also all archived, so you can go back for, the previous 2 years. Go to our NAWDP YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, just type in NAWDP, and all of our 30 Minutes of Excellence sessions for the previous 2 years will pop up. And we had some amazing presenters who are very gracious about sharing their information. So if you see something that you're interested in, again, you can reach out to the presenters. They'll have all their information on there. So those are just some things that we have going on in 2025. I'm sure a lot more things will come up when 2025 actually starts, but that's where we're at right now.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of exciting stuff. I like the Leadership Academy. And, this has been a theme, too. You've probably seen this as well, talking to different people. There really has been a generational shift in workforce since I've been in it, and there's been a retirement wave, but there's also a lot of new people that are rising up in leadership positions, but also coming in as well on the front lines. And so you're seeing that, and there is a need to really help elevate the understanding of what workforce is and policy, but also leading in this age. And so you guys are really at the forefront of training and on the front end of that wave. So that's exciting. And also, we're at a youth conference, and I think one of the benefits of being at a national conference, breaking out of our silos. We can work in our regions, we can know what we know locally, but when you're at a platform like this, an event, a venue where people from all over the country are here, they're seeing a lot of the same things that other individuals might be seeing in different parts of the country. What are you hearing in the space around youth? I'm sure you probably setting out to put this event together, you wanted to bring people, but there was some intentionality around the topics, the workshops, the general sessions. What was that theme this year for the youth audience that you guys were striving for?
Yeah, and I think our theme probably for our youth symposium and even our annual conferences is building relationships, collaboration, not duplicating services. So a lot of times we'll have, different organizations, different youth organizations, or, workforce organizations in general, and we're doing similar things. And so, one of the topics, and we heard it this morning in our opening session, was partnership, build those partnerships, and then don't duplicate services, because we're all operating on a finite amount of money, right? The money's not just going to keep going and going and going. So, what collaborations or what partnerships can we have that really help us not only expand our mission, but also make those dollars last longer? So I think that has been a theme of one of the themes of this conference. Also, it's National Apprenticeship Week, so we intentionally made sure we had a track that was specifically for registered apprenticeship. So each workshop round, you're able to hear different topics, different themes around registered apprenticeship. So we were excited to have that topic, with this being National Apprenticeship Week. And also a lot around youth mental health, and not only youth mental health, also adult mental health. That was one of the things when I started in 2024, started at the beginning of this year. I said anytime I had the ability or the opportunity to stand in front of anybody and speak about anything, I was going to throw mental health and like those self-care, throw that in the mix, because I think that's something we have to put on the forefront as well. And definitely when we're thinking about working with our youth. So that's one of our training tracks as well, is really how to deal with youth and try to help them through mental health, because, our youth went, and I have a 23-year-old daughter who, kind of went through that time of the pandemic, and that was traumatic. It was traumatic for us, and, definitely for our young people. So I think that has been one of the themes that has been very prominent at the Youth Symposium as well.
That's great. Yeah, I attended a workshop yesterday on mental health, and it was eye-opening, and it was also, even in the room, it was very transparent.
Right.
The level of conversation, even the feedback from the audience of what they've experienced individually, but the youth that they serve as well. And it gives you a different pulse of listening to what's happening in just societally, but also in the programs that we operate and the communities that we serve as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what feedback do you get when you're working as a training provider, especially in the youth space, when you're when your ears to the ground, working with leaders in workforce or even people on the front line staff? What's some of the feedback that you're getting on the needs that they have for training in that space?
One of the topics that we get is outreach. How do we have these great programs? I hear, we have great programs, we have great services, but we don't have the youth to bring into the program. So I've done a lot of training, or been a part of a lot of trainings on outreach and how we really have to now think outside of the box. So when I started, like I said, 20 years ago, you could make a flyer and go post it at our job center, and then people would start calling, right? Like that's how we recruited, was flyers and brochures. And that's no longer the case. So, how do we think outside of the box? How do we let not only the youth know, but the community know what our organizations are doing? So we just did a webinar with 3 workforce boards, and it's actually on Workforce GPS. It's really good, but it just talked about just different outreach strategies. How do we think outside of the box and really go to where the youth are, because for the most part, they're not coming into the job centers, right? They're at different places. And one place that they definitely are on their phones.
Yeah.
They're on their phones. So how do we connect with them where they are? So I think that's one of the things that I hear as far as training is, we understand the law, we understand what we can do, we understand those things. What we're trying to figure out is how do we get the people to come in and take advantage of it. So I think that's, one of the kind of prominent training topics that I hear. And the funny thing is, when I started back in the very first workshop I ever did at a conference was on outreach. It was in 2015. And now fast forward, now we're going in 2025. That's still one of the workshops that I do. Now, of course, the workshop information has changed, but the topic hasn't changed. So we're still, trying to find those innovative ways of getting youth into the programs.
Yeah, the methods change over time. But the need is still there.
The need is still there.
Yeah. And I think with social media, and as you mentioned too, people have shifted the way that they navigate and receive services. And brick and mortar is no longer the trend for younger people.
Right.
And as you said, you hit it on the head. Their phones.
Yeah.
And so
phones.
TikTok, Instagram.
It's amazing. I look at my daughter and I'm like, she has her phone with her all the time, like 100% of the time. So that's where the youth are. And so, I just think it's been good to see the transition of how we as workforce are reaching out now to our communities and really like embedding ourselves in the community as opposed to just being separate. Like, we're workforce and, the other partners over here. We're really, I see a shift now where we're really doing things together as a community, and that's really exciting.
That's great. Now, I know there's a lot of exhibitors here that are vendors that have training solutions, engagement services as well. I know you may not have a favorite, but if you were to highlight one or two that you'd say, hey, they're really doing some great work and are probably, it's in a space that is really responding to the demand and the need within youth services, workforce development right now. I'll put you on the spot.
You really are.
Yeah. Or maybe just even generally, categorically. Is there one area that sticks out?
So I would say, we, with NAWDP, we have a credential, the CWDP, Certified Workforce Development Professional. And so we do have two vendors who actually offer training for the CWDP. So I will say we have two of those vendors here. And I always think it's important to what I always say is not many of us went to school. My coworker David says this, so let me not steal his thunder. But he says not many of us went to school to be a workforce development professional, right? So a lot of times we get put into positions and then we're left to kind of figure out, okay, where do I start? What do I do? And most times we can figure it out, but it's so much better to get that training. To really have our workforce industry where, we're a profession. So as a profession, we have certain competencies. This is what you need to know to be a workforce development professional. And so as we, continue to push for the CWDP and really stand behind that credential, we do have two exhibitors in our exhibit hall now who are trainers. So NAWDP doesn't do the training for that at all, but we have 4 training providers, and we have 2 of those in the exhibit hall now. So I would encourage anybody to look into getting your CWDP, get credentialed. We encourage our job seekers, go get these certifications. If you want to get this job, go get these certifications. And we, as workforce professionals, we need to hold ourselves to the same standards, all right? So I always encourage people, invest in yourself. We invest in ourselves in so many other ways. Also invest in your professional development. So that's one of the ways we do that.
That's great. Always learning, always growing, and always networking, meeting people. And it's always great, too. As you meet people, it's a small world. So you see a lot of the same faces, but you see people growing, and you can bounce ideas and hear things from each other. So Kimberly, I want to thank you for your time. I know your time is very valuable here at this conference, but thank you for the insights that you shared a little bit behind the scenes, your background, but also what's trending now in youth services here in workforce development. Now, before you leave, how can people learn more about some of the training opportunities? Is it your website? Can they go to a specific place and learn more about what's to come in the next year?
Yes, absolutely. So you can go to our website at www.nawdp.org, and you can learn our information there. Also, we are on social media platforms. We're on LinkedIn, so go and connect with us on LinkedIn. We are on Instagram, we're on X, and we're on Facebook. And so you can connect with us on LinkedIn, or you can connect with us on social media, or visit our website. And we are all of our staff are very accessible. So you can also email me. I mean, we respond to emails. You can call. So we really want to be able to connect with you. We have 3 words that we use with NAWDP: connect, advance, innovate. And when we say connect, we really want to make a genuine connection. So you can definitely reach out via email as well.
That's great. Well, I appreciate our connection, working together, and look forward to what's to come the rest of this conference in 2025.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to KRA's The Hub. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. To learn more about KRA Corporation, visit www.kra.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.